things are going to start happening to me now.
I think Tyler is amazing.
And I'm a fan of this show. I've watched several episodes.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. You stink, Tyler.
Never promise crazy a baby.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Are either of you homosexuals?
I go both ways. What do you think?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
But I do wonder for others, in other cases, whether libertarianism today is just an excuse for many on the right to act selfishly.
Look at me. And then some fat asses in Washington started having opinions. The Olympic Committee started having opinions. You bitch, I know you. You started writing your opinions.
And it just makes me wonder, you're dead, bitch. You know, why are you doing this to this poor guy?
I don't care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
Did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody, but hang on. This is LPR. For some reason, I've got the show playing in the background on some place. I've got to figure out where it is, and then we will try to move forward. This is becoming a shit show. Where is it at? There it is. I found it. Okay. Welcome, everybody. This is Tyler Yonke, LPR. Sorry, I was getting going. It's been a bit of a rough day. Hope you had a good Friday, everybody. Yes. Let's see who's all in the chat. I did a show this morning, an hour and a half with Nephilim Death Squad. And by the way, it's fucking hot in my office here. The AC, I'm like, it's on. I'm upstairs. It's on. It's hot here today. Hell hot. It's 103. And hope everybody can hear. If you can, let me know. If you can't, we'll get to this. Hang on. I'm going to go back for one more thing. Okay. So anyway, it's hot up here, and I have the AC, and it's downstairs. It's working, but it's not up here. And I'm just like, what the heck is going on? The window was open. It's been open all day. Hopefully that'll cool things down here shortly. Anyway, I was on with Nephilim Death Squad. We went over Leo Frank, and they didn't know hardly anything about this. And so I kind of you have to walk through the issues to try to set it up. And I employ everybody to stay on. At some point, I think they'll release the whole thing, but they put the juicy stuff, the new details I had behind the paywall. And I thought it was pretty good. Tyler in a shed in the backyard. No, I'm upstairs in my house. Yeah, come on, people. Okay, what are we going to talk about today? I don't know how much time we have, but here, let's take a look at this. This is Jay Cutler. Is it Jay or Jake? What is it? Jake? Why am I having trouble with this? Jay Cutler. Yeah, it's Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler and his wife, Kristin Cavallari. They got divorced a while ago. Now, there's some new interesting things that are, they're spatting in the media. So I thought we would, and I tried to find her comments on her video, and I couldn't find it. But I think she says it all here. That's she's some sort of reality star. He was a quarterback for the Bears, and then I think the Dolphins at some point. So let's make sure everything's going on here. Yep, got both cameras working. Okay, we're good here. I know it's Jake Cutler. Yeah, so they got married, and then one of you guys in the chat here, I won't call out which one, sent me a pseudo-snark, I think, sent me this info about them. So let's break it down. Now, we don't know everything. They were married for 7 years. They got divorced. They're in Tennessee, and there's a lot of rumors out there. And she comes out and says, "I didn't get no money." So it's hard to believe those kind of things. So let's kind of walk through some of the stuff that's being said. And it's hard to find because there's not everything written about him, but we're going to walk through this whole thing and kind of get your opinions here. Jake Cutler is adamant. Okay, we're not. We'll play his comments here. Okay, but where did it say where is it taken out to where she said? Okay, yeah, she didn't get. Okay, Cutler. No, that's all his stuff. I'm gonna play his later. Jake. Okay, so it's not really even saying much. This is the problem. It's been hard to find all the details I've got it here somewhere. Let's go back because I think I have. There we go. Kristin Cavallari has publicly stated she has never gotten a penny from her ex-husband Jay Cutler, both in relation to her business, Uncommon James, and in their divorce settlement. Claims that Cutler has strongly denied as completely fake. Okay, Cavallari made the claim during a June 18, 2025 episode of her Honestly Cavallari, the Headline Tour podcast. And by the way, that one, I looked and tried to find, I don't find that episode there. Okay. Headline Tour podcast asserting she owns 100% of Uncommon James and has never taken outside funding or money from Cutler. Okay, that's fine. We will talk about how that works with your corporations and no room for me at dinner, so you get me. Okay, there you go. Oh yeah, I think you just had a baby, so congratulations. She reiterated on her claim on June 2025 podcast, Let's Be Honest with Kristin Cavallari podcast, emphasizing that she did not receive any money from the divorce. Jay Cutler responded to these claims, and we will play those claims. Okay. So with that in mind, I then went through, and she's too old for athletes now. Okay. She's been dating a bunch of them. She's a hottie, no doubt about it. He's a hunter. They've got kids. The divorce turned kind of what's this one say? One up on the post-divorce settlement department by Kristin Cavallari, who says Jay's got a lot of catching up to do and also hints he's violated their settlement agreement. We caught up with Kristin at LAX and asked about her thoughts on finalizing the divorce from the ex-NFL star I'm just reading some of the drama that's taken place here, and then I'm going to listen to what he says, and I'll make the comments about this kind of stuff. Okay. I'm making, Lainey says, I'm making the video for the Leo Frank NDS episode, but I got to edit out all the anti-Semitism, so I have about 30 seconds of footage to use. Zero anti-Semitism in there, okay? Just logic and conclusions of logic and reason and statements of fact. But yeah, there might be some anti-Semitism in there. Uncut with Jay Cutler at podcast, Jay boasted about his bank account not really taking a hit in their divorce and added, when the settlement came through, I threw a party. Well, Kristin was pretty much mum to our camera guy on the settlement. In fact, she told us she doesn't think she's allowed to discuss it, hinting there's a non-disclosure agreement, and Jay shouldn't be blabbing either. Could be in there. Now, as for Jay being in party mode, well, Kristin didn't hold back on that topic. We asked if she'll throw her own post-divorce bash, and she said, I've been partying for 2 years. Oh, okay, straight. Not so subtle reference to the divorce filing in April of 2020. Okay, so let's take a look at the divorce filing in 2020. She filed legal documents obtained by TMZ in which she alleges misconduct on part of Jay and claims that's what triggered the divorce. She says Jay is guilty of such inappropriate marital conduct as renders further cohabitation unsafe and improper. Now, we'll walk through some of this stuff, but one of the things people do in family law often is angle for kids, okay? It's not safe for the kids to be with him. I wasn't safe. Maybe there's a restraining order. With the restraining order in most states, there's a presumption that you shouldn't have custody of the kids. You can overcome that, and you can have, they're always going to try to get you back to some sort of custody. Oh, I shouldn't say always, but to some extent. And so that is an angle, because what happens with percentage of kids if it's majority with one party or the other? As it changes the percentage, so does the calculation for child support. Okay, so now if they're 50-50, Jay Cutler, he makes a ton of money. She probably does just fine too. He makes a lot more, and he's going to be paying her through the nose for child support. If you put that to zero, like Elon Musk has here. And by the way, we talked about that a little bit last week. She, being Ashley, goes and files in court and then, now says she's homeless. Anyway, we talked about that. I think I'd say go back and watch us mock her. Anyway, the point is, with the child support, it can make a huge difference. We saw that with Hunter Biden. We talked about that. He was paying a lot of money a month for child support because he didn't have any custody. And so if you do have custody, that's one way to at least eliminate it. The other factor is just your income, and sometimes you can only do so much about that. It's just the introductions before they get to the topic. Yeah, that's right. the topic was legit. The Leo Frank stuff. I did a lot of fucking work on that. And there was so much I didn't even talk about. It's crazy. I just tried to. Anyway, go check that out over there. We will post it over here. Top Lobster. Maybe when I don't know. I don't care about the anti-Semitic stuff. I'll just post it out there. But I don't get many views. Oddly, we should be getting a lot. Why? This is what I talked about last week, which is I post stuff and kind of detailed, or I do a show like that, and it's very detailed, and it gets And then some wanking chick, she was out there, posted like a TikTok thing about Leo Frank, and it's like blowing up. And I'm like, oh my God, I could go toe to toe and nose to nose with her. Anyway, this is the thrill of being a man with a lot of knowledge. Okay. It's puzzling because Kristin also insinuates Jay has accused her of misconduct. Any misconduct alleged or implied against her in the complaint for divorce was in response to and/or in the result of misconduct. Anyway, they're going back to misconduct. I don't think that actually came into play on this whole thing. She's asking for primary. He wants joint custody of the kids. She said he asked her. Anyway, that's keep going on here. They made a joint statement about, hey, she posted a picture of his ass. Okay. So that's it. They've divorced. They're getting divorced. And then there's more stuff. There's the marital. I think we just walked over that one. Star says, Jay Cutler divorced. Did the couple have a prenup? Well, let's talk about that. There's a video. Actually, I think here it is of them on this show. And let's go back. First of all, she has a reality show and her company's called Common James or something like that. And she's painful to watch, but here you go, people.
Hire somebody, get everyone's attention.
This is probably why you don't own your own business.
Just cut somebody's head off.
I think they're both embarrassed that they thought, oh, sure, Taylor can totally get a job here. And I was like, no.
Hell, I can't even get a job there. I own half of it.
But,
I do.
Yeah, well, we might want to work on that prenup. But anyways, the lines have been muted.
Okay, that was a comment about the prenup. I don't know if that means they have one. And then there's some conversation that they do. There's a post here. Prenup joke is no longer funny. Cavallari made the move to divorce her estranged husband, Jay Cutler, the very Cavallari star. Wanted to end her marriage quickly, but in turn, it turns out to be a messy divorce. Jay was the first to file for divorce in April 21 in Tennessee court. Kristin filed court documents on Friday, the 24th of April, to get the divorce moving as quickly as possible. Then the couple then announced their shocking split on the 26th. On the reality show, Jay and Kristin discussed their prenuptial agreement. They even joked about it. But it's not funny anymore since their prenup will be part of the divorce battle. According to The Blast, Kristin Cavallari and Jay Cutler laughed about the terms of their prenup agreement years before their divorce. It was a simpler time when the couple was on good terms. Kristin and Jay discussed their prenup on the couch. It stemmed with issues with their business, Uncommon James. Now I'm just saying this. This is kind of this e-reporting kind of shit here. I don't know that she's like, oh, we need to discuss that prenup. Did they have a prenup? I would just say the comment that they're making, everyone's like, oh, they joked about it. They definitely had. I don't know that they had a prenup. I can't find, this is the confirmation that they had one. Okay, so you're like, okay, what? The reason for Jay's divorce is irreconcilable differences, which is what it's going to be. Kristin wants primary custody of the kids. She's also demanding a cut of the former NFL's retirement account. The reality star also accused him of inappropriate marital conduct. Yeah, whatever that means. Okay, they had a huge house. It was multi-millions. Let's see what else we got here. Okay, there you go. Okay, so that's particular. Now let's go to Jay had a little bit of this. He's got this podcast. And they actually discuss it. So we're going to play this portion here, and I think it breaks down things a little bit more. And we'll say, hey, is Jay correct on this or not? Well, we'll find out. Let me know how the sound is, if it's too loud for everybody.
So, as we're on the topic of current news, I read something interesting. And I'm just gonna come off this is something we've never discussed before, and I just never felt the need to bring it up. But I know this this kind of struck a chord, right? And so I'm just gonna drop it off the top rope. Your ex-wife, Kristin Cavallari, has been doing her rounds in the media, and she has said this, quote, "I've never gotten a penny from my ex-husband. I didn't get any money from our divorce, so let's just clear that up," end quote. And I just wanted to give you the opportunity to tell your side of this story, because I know you as a human being.
Yeah, she didn't get a penny. She got,
and I love you, and I think this is false.
A lot of bills. I mean, let's think about this logically.
Mm-hmm.
Not a penny. Okay, married for I don't know 7 years or so, 3 kids. Logic. I mean, you can go and see how much I made in the NFL. It's online. I mean, you can see the contract from year to year and the total amount at the end of 12 years. So you go to divorce and each side gets a lawyer. And then you go to court and there's a judge. In the state of Tennessee, if we went to the judge and been like, hey, he's going to keep every single dollar over the past 7 years and you're going to get nothing. There's not a judge in the state of Tennessee that would have signed that. They would be like, no, this isn't right. This isn't legal. Not happening.
Okay, let's talk about that first. Is that true? Is that, for me in California, is that true? Okay. Equitable division, not necessarily equal, but equitable, fair, and they try to have it equal. Division is what the court's looking for. If you have a settlement agreement and you enter it in court, they look through it. For the most part, they're going to grant it. But if it's completely out of whack, now you've signed this agreement, right? You've said, if it's completely out of whack, they may send it back and say, or set it for a hearing, because what you do is you get a settlement agreement. It's done with the judgment forms. Everyone signs it. If you have an attorney, you have an attorney. If you don't have an attorney, sometimes you need to have it notarized. And you probably should. And then you can just mail it in or drop it off at the court, and they'll have a judge go through there and look and enter this as an order. If it's not quite to their, this looks a little bit uneven, they may set a hearing and talk about it. Now I've done default judgments. The other party is just not participating. It's a real short marriage. She didn't want to participate, so he wants to get a default. We had to jump through hoops to do that because he was trying to keep houses that he had before. And the judge is like, well, you're going to have to pay her something if you're there. Now, was this, anyway, we had a mini trial on this with just my guy and nobody on the opposing side for the judge. And you have to walk through it. And then the judge makes an order. So, I've done that multiple times. So he's absolutely correct where you're just not going to necessarily walk in and make ridiculous orders. And if she can have, by the way, if it's unequal in income, he would be paying her attorneys, and she would be able to have a lot of attorneys' fees awarded to her, but she had money herself. So she's not going in there with some chimp attorney who didn't pay attention. This guy's going to make a decent amount of money, and they're going to do a good job. And okay, so that's for that first part. Let's keep going.
So there's that. B, she has a lawyer. I have a lawyer. Is her lawyer really going to be like, fine, you get $0. He gets to keep all the money that was made over the 7 years? Absolutely not. That's completely false.
True.
No child.
By the way, that's what we do. We everyone exchanges finances. I just had a trial, and I literally just took all their bank statements, credit cards, and whatnot at the date of separation, and I just submitted. Hey, here's what they were at the date that we said the separation was. What are the values? We're splitting them. Her credit cards, his assets, everything. And then you do it, and you do an equalization payment or transfer the title or what have you.
Support, sure. Whenever you're dealing with this kind of type of settlement, there's not going to be because
the number is large. We're not talking about a couple $1,000s a month.
Yeah, this number it's a very, very big number.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he's saying he's paying her a lot in child support. I would imagine. I would imagine. I don't know what he still makes and what it was based off of, but $10,000 would not be. Would not surprise me at all. 3 kids for how much he had been making. 10 would be like the bottom area. This guy's like a couple of grand, and he's like, yeah.
And a company to boot, which was hers.
A company to boot. So she had this company, but here's what you have with anything. If you have a company and it's during the marriage, there's community aspects of property to that. Now, did she start the company before? There's two different types. There's like, forget the pariah and something other kind of analysis you do, which is, let's say you have a business before the marriage, right? And then you get married. Now, how much of that business are you taking out all the funds from it and supplying it to the, or are you reinvesting all that money back into the business? If you're reinvesting it back into the business, now the community aspects, she should have been taking all those profits. Every time you get profit from that business, even if it's a separate property business that you had before the marriage, this is now during the marriage, and anything you acquire from that business during the marriage, it's community property. So if she's not taking a paycheck because I don't need a paycheck, I'm just going to reimburse or reinvest it back into the company. Well, now that company has a lot of community assets value to it. Okay. Now, if you're depleting the company every time and you're living, paycheck to paycheck, and that business just gets wiped out, you take pay and now it's to the community, that business might not have much value to it for the community because you've depleted it. These are analysis that you're going to do. Now, what if you started the business after the date of marriage? Okay, well, now it's completely a community property. So he's saying and we saw this with the thing, she's like, it's mine. And he's like, well, okay. And she's like, well, maybe we need to redo that prenup, or we need to talk about a prenup, or whatever it was. I don't even know how good their prenup was or what it entailed. You can draft them in any such way, shape, or form. Typical way would be like, okay, anything I make is my separate property. Anything you make is your separate property. Maybe we designate that business as your separate property. Maybe it's retirement is all separate property. And then sometimes we'll be like, oh, we'll have a joint account, and if anything we put in there, now that's community. So you can funnel and make this anyway. You can't, though, go against public policy. One thing you can't say is I'll never pay them spousal support under any circumstances. Let's say they become incapacitated. That's kind of one thing. The court's like, no, you can't do that. You can say no spousal support, but under any circumstance, probably not. Child support or custody. Hey, we've made an agreement, prenup, that I'll never have custody, or you'll never have custody. Nope, you can't do that. Or I'll never have to pay child support. Nope, can't do that. You can always go and modify. So that you can't dictate. Let's keep going here.
Which was also a marital asset because it was created during the marriage.
There you go. So he answered that question. Created during the marriage. He knows what he's talking about.
It's irresponsible. I think it's reckless. I think it's borderline slander to insinuate that there was $0 split during the marriage that each side got. It's insanity. And it's a completely false, completely untrue. It is. It just is. I've got a divorce decree. I've got something that's signed by the judge. It's like 67 pages or something. It says exactly. Says the number breakdown. I'm not going to get into those exact numbers, but I can guarantee you it's definitely not $0.
Is it enough to live comfortably for the rest of your life on? When I say comfortably, very comfortably.
Without a doubt.
All right.
Without an absolute doubt.
Why? Where does this come from?
Why is this bitch so crazy?
Even it's just unfortunate. I guess is the word.
I mean, I would say unnecessary.
Yeah.
Completely unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Hate that I even have to address it, honestly.
Yep.
But it gets to a point where it's just untrue.
Mm-hmm.
Very untrue. And back to my point, there's not a lawyer or a judge in the state of Tennessee that would say, no, we're giving her.
Okay, let's address this. They made a settlement agreement. Okay, so they signed everything. They didn't go before the judge and have a trial, and the judge gets to decide this. They made an agreement. Whatever it was, we're gonna talk about prenup here in a second. That had to be agreed upon by all parties. Okay, so let's give it
$0. They'd be like, this is not happening. Even if you had a prenup that said $0, the judge would still have a hard time signing off on that after a seven-year marriage. If let's say that you and somebody else were married and you got a prenup that said, hey, doesn't matter what happens, doesn't matter if we have kids or not, she gets $0 at the end of this and I get everything. a judge isn't gonna be like, he's going to throw it out and be like, not happening. We're not doing this. You just can't.
It's all unfortunate and unnecessary, you know, and
I will say this, not completely true. So I once again, I don't know if he had a prenup or not. There's two assumptions. Let's assume that he didn't have a prenup. Okay. Then there going to be some sort of equitable division. She's going to get some sort of spousal support. You know, maybe he paid her a lump sum out of this. I don't know. Maybe you offset it, like you get to keep, they do an analysis of what her business is worth. And you say it's X dollars. And it's like, maybe I'm going to pay you, you know, something around similar in spousal support. Instead of cutting me a check for half of the business buyout, you just get to keep the business and we award it to you. So now it's awarded to you as your sole and separate property. So she can now go on a podcast and say, it's all my business. Okay, I get it. It's always been in your name, but I'm sorry, there's title presumption, but that's an easy thing to overcome, which is like, when was it acquired? Well, it was acquired during the marriage. I don't care if it's all in your name. You're going to owe him something. That's community property. But you know what? Instead of him paying you spousal support, you get a lot, because he would only have to pay about half the length of the marriage. 7 years, 3.5 years, boom, whatever that number is, you just, how much a month, boom, you get it. Now, if her business was worth a ton, then you get, keep the business, maybe it's an offset, and we call it good. Now, you do have let's say you do have a prenup. If you have a prenup in there, maybe he said, I was going to pay you a certain amount if we get divorced. Maybe that's in there. I don't know what the terms of this prenup would be. But like I said, you can't go against public policy. He had to pay child support. Maybe he didn't have to pay spousal. He's making it sound like, and maybe his attorneys told him, look, you have a prenup, but you're not going to necessarily win with all this on the prenup. Even if it said, I don't ever have to pay her spousal support, you're going to pay her something. So you're going to do something. And I imagine he has enough money where he did like an equalization payment. He just said, here's the amount. I'm not going to pay you spousal support over time. And we're just going to keep going there.
Sorry that you have to deal with as your friend, buddy.
Well, it's part of it.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I know the truth. I think there's probably a lot of people out there that know the truth, but it's one of those things that just, you have to address at a certain point. So this is me addressing it.
You did great.
I mean, there's not much to address. It's not true. So that's it. Like it's a ludicrous statement. I mean, there's taxes. I mean, there's tax returns. There's public knowledge of. I mean, it's just not. It's pipe dream. But I'll take it back if you want to give it back. I'll wait.
And I'll marry you if you want to marry me.
His buddy's homo.
I don't know if it's legal in the state of Tennessee. All right. What else we got going on? Current.
Okay. So, and they also had a house that was worth like millions of dollars that they were both trying to sell. So I tend to believe him on this. One, he's a guy. And it just doesn't make sense. I'm trying to work this out as far as like what is practical. And the reason I'm saying this is because, and you can't feel sorry, is because she made a deal. She signed an agreement. She didn't go to court and a judge made a ruling against her. She made a deal, and she had, I imagine, high-powered attorneys that can advise her correctly. So there he goes. Over on Rumble, Patrick says, Rumble is crap tonight. Gonna flip this over to YouTube on the TV. Peace, Tyler. Good for you. What's crazy is I am using Rumble Studio. Rumble Studio, so I should be going through there, piping it out through OBS. This is their platform, their stuff, and I'm not losing any frames. I don't know what the deal is there, so sorry. I hope that's not on your side, but I hope it's not on my side either. Everything seems to be, like I said, going through just well. We're streaming and it looks good. Okay, so there's that. And so, do we feel sorry for some of these chicas? No, not necessarily. Now, I've got some other issues that took place. My wife is leaving for Oregon for the week. And by the way, so probably no show next Friday because I'm going to be flying up there on Wednesday. My son lives up there in Washington, Battleground. And so I'm going to fly up there, he and his fiance, and we're going to go see where my wife is and her friend are staying. So I'm going to be up there, flying up there Wednesday, but probably not doing a show on Friday because we're going to be hanging with them. But I think I'm going to do one Sunday. Okay. I do plan on doing one Sunday. And what I want to do it on is free speech. I was going to do it on this today, and then I found this. So I thought I would just do this one real quick. Free speech issue. So there was a flag out there that people were saying, oh, it was on Twitter about this flag, and that you can't burn, it's against free speech to burn a Jewish flag, but you can burn an American flag. So I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look at this. Is that really the issue? Okay, maybe not. Okay, all right. Now there's also this thing down in Florida where this supposed person got arrested for anti-Semitic talk, and you're like, oh shit. And I'm like, oh, Lainey, as she said, I'm going to be arrested for all my anti-Semitic speech on Nephilim Death Squad. Let's hold the brakes. Is that really the case? We'll walk through that. And then the last thing I'm going to talk about is Sean King. This is fascinating. Okay, this takes us back to the COVID era. Sean King, I don't know if you guys know who he is. He's a fake black guy. He says he's black. He's not really black. And he used to at some point work for the New York Times. I don't know if there's a plagiarism thing there, but he then had he works for a different company doing stuff now. He's really going after the Jays, and he's going after this Israel thing, actually what it is. And if you remember a few weeks ago, Grok got really anti-Semitic, okay? Or as they would say, was anti-Semitic. Grok was getting based. And suddenly Grok was suspended and then came back and basically had learned the errors of its ways and was corrected. Then this guy, the cyber chief of Israel, is out visiting the NSA out in Las Vegas. There's a pedo sting, and he gets caught up in this pedo sting and then gets released back to Israel. And Sean King is going after him, posting on. Then his posts get removed. Then it comes out that Grok says this guy and Israel were responsible for shutting Grok down during its based period. Now, this guy with Israel has been reporting, and he's stuff out there with him. He's reporting stuff to Meta, and they're taking stuff down. This is this thing that the Missouri had a lawsuit against the Biden administration. Remember all the X files, Twitter files that were coming out with Schellenberger and Matt Taibbi and a bunch of other people, showing how breaking down and showing how the government, the CIA, they were actively working with X or Twitter at the time to silence people, take people's posts down, get their accounts suspended, and so then there's an issue of is that government involved, the entanglement issue. Well, Sean King keeps having all his tweets just disappearing, and they're confirming through Grok that that's being done because of this Israel thing. And those are the things that he keeps getting removed. Fascinating. And so we'll talk about that. So I have a complaint to go over. The other thing I was checking out today is Donna Adelson. I don't know if you know that murder trial situation, but that's what I think. Jordan says, as long as a judge doesn't force trans your kids, isn't that a win in California divorce? Not necessarily. I have not come upon that issue. I will say this with California. Look, from a male perspective, California gives you a great shot at divorce and your kids. So there's situations, and there's all these men's rights things, and a lot of them stem out here in California, but I do not see it. You have to, men get a fair shake out here with that. Okay. There's the trans shit. I know there's those problems. But other than that, equitable divorce, women, hey, look, women want to be treated equal. Well, then you know what we're going to do? We're going to apply that across the board blindfolded, which is, oh, you make more money, then you're going to pay spousal support. You're going to pay child support. Is that correct? Well, I don't know. In California, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. I'm perfectly fine with it out here in this state because there's a lot of shit and a lot of people like that. My wife and I, we went and saw our friends yesterday, and then we're driving back, and she's like, oh, I'm trying to read this bumper sticker. And I had already read it, and I'm like, you don't want to read this. It was on this crappy Toyota car, and white car, and the bumper sticker, and it said, I hope the fetus you saved is gay. And she's like, what is going? And then we drove past, and you'd be flabbergasted to see what this person looked like. Fat, purple-haired lesbian, nose rings. And I was like, oh, of course. So, and she's like, I'd rather have my kid gay than fat. Like, oh, well, I don't know about that. But that was a horrible bumper. Those are the kind of people who are out here. So there you go. Hubbelson's in there. Way to come in. Beautiful area. Yes, it is up there in the Northwest. Nothing but respect for Talcum X. Okay. Okay, Patrick's moved over to YouTube, so perfect. Okay, so once again, like, subscribe, hit the button, the notifications, because I am going to do a show Sunday evening. Like I said, the wife's out of town, so I'm just going to do something here. I'm going to do a show, and I'm going to post it up here in a little bit. I'm going to already plan it for Sunday. We'll do it on free speech, and if anything else comes out before then, we can talk about that. Fact check: true, better gay than fat with nose ring. Yeah, that was rough. That was rough to see. I couldn't imagine. My wife's like, who's she trying to rip on? And I'm just like, I just think, I guess the concept there is that religious right are the people that want to save babies, right? So they don't like gays. So I hope the fetus. It's just weird. It's just really weird to have that kind of anger, to put that on your car. I mean, that's perhaps the worst of it. I think that's where we're at. But let's go here. Give you a little preview of what's to come. Here's nope, not that one. Hang on. There we go. Let's see if this comes into orbit here. There you go. This is the meet 27-year-old Destiny Marie DeCiccio, who has the distinct dishonor of being the first person charged under Florida's new anti-Semitism law. She is charged with disorderly conduct, uttering an illegal opinion. She now faces 30 days in jail with 10 on work duty. Fact check, not true. So we'll have to go through that. But that's just a little portent of things to come. Because what I don't like is, and this is where you got to be careful. You see the MAGA shit now. You know, they're like, oh, Ghislaine Maxwell, she testified that Trump never diddled kids. Could be, but that's your source is Ghislaine. The idea of Patrick says, the idea of being pro-life, being strictly a religious issue has always been wild to me. I was pro-life long before I found my faith. Yeah, this is my thing. So I'm religious, and the church I grew up in oddly didn't have any outward stance about abortion. Okay, they weren't pro, they weren't anti. So I didn't really ever have much thought about this, forming growing up. But when you see people actively all excited about it, it's always just kind of like, okay. I understand where it's, safe, rare, and whatever, but when you're like overjoyed about it, it was always like, and that's actually, that kind of sentiment sent me down trying to think about this thing. And then I'm like, oh yeah, I just, let's save some kids. You're using it as birth control, I guess, and you're excited about all the abortions you have. That's a little odd. So when this person is like kind of pumped for that, and they're advocating almost like it's a ritual that you want to go through, that's what's weird. No, I did not grow up in California. I grew up in the Northwest. If you've ever heard of Walla Walla, Washington, that's the area I grew up in, just across the border in Oregon, but I went to school there in Walla Walla. And I did go to high school in California, just south of, it was a boarding school that was associated with the church I went to. And it is on the beach. It literally was on the beach. It was this amazing place out by Watsonville, just south of Santa Cruz. I went to junior and senior year there, and then I went back and went to University of Walla Walla for Walla Walla University for engineering. Then out to University of Colorado for grad school, and then I moved out here to California right at the end of 2000. End of 2000, because my son was born there in Inglewood, Colorado, not California, in 2000, and then we moved out here, and I've been out here ever since, the northern part. Never had much of an opinion till I heard my daughter's heartbeat. By the way, that speaking of which, my son, I seeing him, the first time you're in there and you're doing all this stuff, it's like, this is a child. It's pretty odd. It's pretty odd. I dated a girl in Walla Walla when I was stationed out there. Well, where were you stationed? Were you stationed? The only thing that was stationed in Walla Walla is the Corps of Engineers. And the penitentiary, we had a penitentiary there. 3 colleges. Whitman College, famous for Dirk Benedict, face man on the A-team, and also Batman. what's his name? The old school Batman guy. That is like an acting school, Whitman. Walla Walla, where I went to. Then there's a community college out there. And then there's this fucking penitentiary. At one point, the school fathers, or the town father, they had an opportunity to have, I think, University of Washington or Washington State, which was at Pullman. They had a chance to have it there, and they're like, no, we don't want that. We'll take the pen. So we have the state penitentiary out there. Fantastic. It's a little town. I love it. My parents still live out there. Okay, everybody. I think that's what we're gonna call it a night. I was raised in Bangor. I was up north, right between Silverdale and Poulsbo. Is that Bangor, Maine? I don't know, or Bangor, Washington, or Oregon would be. All right, everybody. Tomorrow is the tour of Spain starts, so everybody should check into that. We got some Americans going out there. It's fantastic stuff. Saturday, that's tomorrow. Sunday, look for the next episode. We're gonna do free speech on the LPR. Out.
Never mind.